Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing about the fragility of Northeast region's integration into India. We will also be discussing the constitutional provisions and also the legislative provisions that are in place in order to help the Northeast region to attain its development. So stay tuned till the last part. What is the context in which we are discussing about this? We all have celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav yesterday, and in the context of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Northeast region, which is an inseparable part of India, which is an integral part of India, how far the Northeast region has been able to achieve its developmental goals. So this is the question that we are trying to answer in this video. So let's understand the history of Northeastern integration into India. So the Northeast was under the British control. Britishers used the Northeast region, that is the 7 sister states that we see: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, and also Sikkim. British used these Northeast states in order to get more revenue. The Britishers actually expanded the agricultural land. And because of which the tribes of the Northeast came in contact with the Britishers, and the Britishers called these tribes as Mongolian fringes, as the racial discrimination was in place. So Britishers called these tribes of the Northeast as the Mongolian fringe, and they also gave a statement that neither racially, historically, culturally, linguistically, the people of Northeast have no affinity with the people of mainland India, which means they have a different culture, they have a different language, they have a different history, and racially the people of Northeast are very well different from the people of mainland India. So in order to administer this heterogeneous mixture of the Northeastern tribes, Britishers came up with 2 policies. One is called as excluded and partially excluded areas. So British classified the territory into excluded and partially excluded areas in order to make sure that the administration is efficient. But post-independence, we all know that pre-independence, the British policies actually hindered the development of tribes. So post-independence, the first Prime Minister, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, had 2 options in order to carry out the administration in tribal dominated areas. The first one was something called as assimilation, and the second one was isolation, which is also called as museum approach. So this person, Verrier Elwin, who was a British anthropologist, played a crucial role in advocating isolationism or museum approach, which means the tribes should be completely isolated from the mainland people and also the administration. Tribes should be left the way they are. There is no interference, there is no influence of the mainlanders into the tribes. That is called as isolation or museum approach. Whereas there was one more faction of people who demanded assimilation, which means tribes should be completely assimilated into the mainlanders. So the mainland India should completely assimilate the Northeastern and the tribes of the Central India. So whereas the first Prime Minister, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, came up with an integration approach, that is the third approach, where he said that if there is an assimilation, then the tribals will lose their culture. If there is isolation, tribals cannot be left the way they are because they are underdeveloped. The developmental indicators, for example, literacy, health, IMR, MMR, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, all these health indicators, the social security measures, are very weak with respect to tribes. So tribes cannot be left behind. So the first Prime Minister, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, devised both assimilation and isolation and came up with a new approach that he called it as integration. Okay, or which is also called as integrationalism, And the tribal Panchashil policy of the Jawaharlal Nehru is an outcome of his approach, that is integrationalism, where he talked about there shouldn't be over administration of tribal life and tribes should be left the way they are in their developmental matters. Tribes should be left to develop on their own lines. Okay, that is the two main important approaches of tribal Panchashil. This is something that you can use it in your GS1 and also GS2. In GS1 there's a part called society. In society part of GS1 you can use this tribal integrationism or tribal Panchashil policy that was devised by Nehru. And when we talk about GS2, you have something called as vulnerable sections of the society. When we talk about the vulnerable sections of the society, this is a scheduled tribes. These are the most vulnerable sections of the society. So the administration for these vulnerable tribes, well, we also have PVTG, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. We have 75 PVTGs that are decided in India. So in all these contexts, you can use this approach of tribal Panchashil of Jawaharlal Nehru. This is what happened post-independence. And these 7 states of the Northeast, Assam, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura, the evolution of these separate states, these territories into separate states happened post-independence. For the first time, 1963, Nagaland got created and there was a violent demand for the creation of Nagaland. Even now, NSCN, okay, there's a violent militant organization called as NSCN which demands for something called as Greater Nagalim. Okay, they're demanding for a larger state which also includes the territories of the neighboring states. So this is the demand as of now. We have a violent separatism that is active even today in Nagaland. So 1963, Nagaland got created. 1987, a separate state Arunachal Pradesh was formed. 1972, the Northeast states, 3 Northeast states, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura came to be separated from Assam. 1975, we have Sikkim that was formed. So this is the chronology of events that happened. You don't have to remember these dates from the exam point of view. Just know that these northeastern states were all a part of, most of these northeastern states were a part of Assam. You can see here, the 3 states that were carved out from Assam. Okay, so all these states even today have the militancy, have the separatism and they have boundary disputes amongst themselves. So now we will have to look at the constitutional provisions that were at place in order to safeguard the tribes. Article 46 deals with the protection of the interests of scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes and also the weaker sections of the society, and this is a DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. Article 330, reservation for the SC and STs in Parliament. 332, reservation of the seats for the SC and ST in State Assembly. Article 243D deals with the reservation of seats for the SC and ST in Panchayat. Article 338A, where the National Commission for ST was formed. So here I want you to comment in the comment box, when was this National Commission for ST formed, which year, and what is the number of amendment, which is that amendment that led to the creation of National Commission of ST, which got bifurcated from National Commission of SC. So 2 things that you have to comment, just know this, the amendment number and also the date. Article 366 in the Constitution has the definition of scheduled tribes. It says all those tribes which are placed, the names of those tribes which are placed in the Article 342 of the Indian Constitution are said to be scheduled tribes. And the identification of scheduled tribes happens in this way. The President, after the consultation of the Governor, declares a particular tribe as a scheduled tribe, and those particular tribes would be included in the Article 342 of the Constitution. Next, the legislative actions in order to protect the rights of tribes. We have 5th schedule and the 6th schedule, okay, which are also a part of Constitution, 5th schedule and the 6th schedule areas. 5th scheduled areas have something called as Tribal Advisory Council. Sixth scheduled areas have something called as autonomous district council. This is something that you will be studying in your polity. You have a separate chapter of 5th schedule and 6th schedule in your Lakshmikant. So this is something that you will be studying. So whenever you're going through the Tribal Advisory Council and the Autonomous District Council, make sure these are the areas, or this is a provision in the constitution in order to safeguard the rights of tribes. Panchayat extension to scheduled areas, the act that was passed in the year 1996. Forest Rights Act 2006, which identifies or which guarantees the land rights of tribes. Department of Northeastern Region was formed in the Union government in 2001, and later it became a separate full-fledged ministry. Right to fair compensation and land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2003, which guarantees the rehabilitation and the resettlement of tribes. So these are some of the legislative provisions and the constitutional provisions that are at place in order to safeguard the tribal rights. And this has led to, after 75 years of independence, even though we have many legislative and the constitutional provisions for the safeguarding tribal rights, how far have we reached in the development of tribes? Okay, the tribes are continuously experiencing a lot of difficulties. The developmental indicators of the tribal people are not completely solved. So because of all these reasons, there's a debate of mainstream versus substream. Mainstream are the people of the urban class, also the peasant farmers that we have, and the substream are the tribes. So the debate of mainstream and the substream, how far are we able to solve this after 75 years of independence? This is the question that we have to ponder upon. Okay, that's all for today. For more such enriching content, please subscribe to Legacy IAS Academy. Have a nice day. Thank you.